I think some therapists think they learn something and they have to protect it. And I would say do the opposite. If you learn something and it's effective, give it away. You don't have to protect it. If you just give it away, it'll all come back. It'll help you grow.
Hello and welcome back to The Scaling Therapist. This is your host, James Marland. I am very pleased to introduce my special guest, Ira Hays, to you. Ira is one of, if not the first guest that wasn't a co-host on The Scaling Therapist 3+ years ago. And I've been following him in his work with schools and his practice that he owns. And he is doing some incredible stuff, has some lessons about growth, and has learned a lot along the way. Ira, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be back. It's nice to see you. I've been following a lot of your stuff too, so I've been learning along the way. Hopefully we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, so my name is Ira Hays. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in New Jersey. I've been doing this for a little while now and practicing. I have a private practice that I've been building out for about the last 10 or 12 years. I recently, about 4 months ago, took over a role as the clinical director at Interspace Counseling here in Old Bridge, New Jersey. I work with an app called BIA, where I also work with kids with emetophobia and school phobia. Just recently launched another company called Launch, and I've been trying to stay busy and following some of your content, trying to work on a book. And we're just talking pre-recording about potentially expanding into some other things. So yeah, definitely busy. And I occasionally teach as well when I have a chance.
Sure. Why not? You sound very, you said, I'm trying to keep busy. I was trying to keep up with all the things you were doing, launching this and doing that. Let's talk about your evolution. Did you started out as did you start out as a group practice owner, or did you grow into a group practice owner?
Yeah, so I started out just trying to get by, like working at the therapist, having a full-time job, and then created Hays Health and Wellness on the side. My wife's also a therapist, so I started with just the two of us. And then recently, the idea of Launch with a new partner of mine and hired a staff there to kind of see clients because my practice had gotten bigger than what I could handle, and my friend's practice has gotten bigger than his. So things have grown a bit more organic for me. It's always been like, what's the mission? And then when I'm overloaded, how do I expand the mission a little further? How do I help a little bit more people? It's definitely been quite the experience, because originally I was just focused on what can I do for the 20 people I'm trying to help? And now it's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, now I'm pretty good at doing a couple different things. How do I expand?
So I've been reading the Time as a Tool recently. It's the Benjamin Hardy's 10x is easier than 2x guy. And he's been saying that your impact, or your future goal, your future self, how you view yourself impacts your future, impacts your present. You allow that to direct the path that you take. And big goals mean you have fewer choices to get to your big goal. You like some of the things that you might do are irrelevant, or they're not even an option, because your big goal, you can't do them if you want to achieve your goal. And so as you were talking about, I grew and I do this, and how do I keep expanding? What's your mindset on like goals and achieving goals? Do you have a process for that, or are you just what's my next thing?
It's a good question. I think I probably suffer a little bit from ADHD. My goals split very frequently into different areas, and it's usually just an interest of mine or something where I feel like it's all aligned with my goal. I've had this big goal now for the last 10 or so years, like of getting kids back to school who are school phobic, and also simultaneously treating some of the things that I stumble upon while I'm doing that. So it started with getting kids back to school. Then I discovered OCD being part of that problem, and the treatment being overlapping, and then discovering emetophobia and getting involved in that. And most of the stuff that I've gotten involved in is really just, I see it like a tree. The tree is getting kids back to school and treating people. And then all these little branches are ways in which I attempt to figure out a new way to help. So some of them I've just stumbled upon. Sometimes people reach out to me and they're like, hey, Bia is a great example. I had posted something a year or two ago about working with a emetophobic kid, just out of shock that no one was talking about it. And then the owner of Bia messaged me and said, "Hey, no one out on the East Coast is talking about this. What's going on? What are you up to? I made this app. Would you take a look at it?" And I looked at it and I thought it was awesome. Started using it with some of the kids, and then he invited me to help him build that out for like more school phobic related things other than just emetophobia. In some cases, I've been very lucky that people just see what I'm doing and reach out with a lot of interest, the same. And then some things were really purposeful, like probably the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years, I've been just going out and just training schools. Like, it's funny, I read The Go-Giver, you're talking about the books that kind of motivate us, but I read The Go-Giver years ago. Yeah. Such a great book. And I think it really overlaps the world of kind of marketing and business and mental health. And I found that I just started saying, I'll give a free training here, a free training there, and probably trained 70 or 80 different schools in New Jersey and did some in Maryland and a little bit of work in Florida, a little bit of work in New York, just trying to get people the information that I have. And now I'm pivoting a little bit and trying to do the same thing with Launch. I'm training the people here at Innerspace. I'm training the staff on how I use ERP to treat school phobia and emetophobia and school attendance. So it's not following the same mission, but when something new branches out, it's more out of, now I've finished this, and now how do I take it the next step? And I will admit there's been a couple side quests, particularly in my book has been a major side quest of mine that I probably started 3 or 4 years ago and recently got pretty close to the finish line, then took this new role. It's postponed things, but I was looking at ways to expand what I'm currently doing to more people, essentially.
What is your book about?
School attendance. Yeah.
So it's the same. It's the same mission, just a different way of trying to implement it.
Yeah, it's the same mission. I feel like the book, a lot of people were talking about what can I read to get more information about this? And when I really looked, there wasn't anything specific out there that was doing the kind of work that I'm doing with schools that was like readily available. So I was like, man, it's an attempt to capture the way I see school attendance and breaking it down into school avoidance, school phobia, and school refusal, and like the process in which I work with school attendance, which has been helpful and which people are just expressing a lot of interest in more than just the 90-minute. And sometimes I'll go do a 3-hour training or 6-hour training, but still at the end, they were like, what other resources are there? And I'm like, it's somewhat novel. So I think it would be hard to find. There might be a couple papers where they explore exposure for school attendance, but the specific breakdown in the way that I do things is relatively novel. So I'd like to get it out there to more people.
What was the process like for you? Did you just start sit down and like things flowed easily? Did you hire somebody to help you? Did you look up outlines? Did you regret your decision at one point? What was your process?
I don't regret the decision, but I think trying to write it has been, again, I'm not a writer. If anything, I fear that I have a little dysgraphia from when and like difficulty getting that out. It really started, the easiest thing for me to do was when I had periods of like high motivation and high determination, I would just go for an hour or 2 walk and I would dictate notes in my phone. And then eventually I would sit down and start organizing these ideas and sequences of information. And that's probably why it's taking me so long, because I'm not able to say, here's 3 weeks, I'm going to go. It's more like I've got an hour or 2, I'm going to get information out, and then I'm going to eventually get it all put together. I'm getting pretty close to something that resembles a finished product minus like a couple of chapters and then a final edit, I think right now. But there's still probably several dozen hours of work to do, but it's been an interesting ride. It has not been linear at all. It's been like, the mental health field in general is a little bit slower, I think, in the summer. So it just happens to be nice at that time too. So I'll get June and July and August, I'll get a lot of work done. And then times now it's, wow, I'm so busy and there's so many kids that are struggling that I'm not able to dedicate a lot of time to it. But it is something.
I was just wondering, how did you stay motivated to continue to do it? Because sometimes those dreams get piles of paper and work dropped on them, and then it's hard to come back to them. What do you think kept you going?
Yeah, I think it's interesting when I'm meeting with like the new therapists and interns that I work with, I talk about how they always think, I don't know if I want to teach, or I don't know if I want to do that. And I say, wait till you solve a problem that you think no one else has solved. And then you're going to have a burning desire to help other people solve that problem. And that's really what it's been for me all along. Each time it's like, I'm content with where I'm at. I'm content with what I'm doing, but I feel like, wait, there's more people that want help with this, or there's so many different barriers to people getting what they need. And it started with me in my private practice. I'm at a network, and how can we help people in network? There's really not a lot of OCD or good phobic treatment in network. So Inner Space solves that problem, right? If you live in New Jersey and you have OCD or you have a school phobic response, like you can now get in network support through your insurance. So that solved one problem. But then there's the people that are outside of New Jersey, right? So I can go do trainings, or I can provide something else that solves that problem for them. And I think the book was like my burning desire that I've had parents from Kentucky or Tennessee or something. They'll call me and I'm like, I'm sorry, there's not a whole lot. Can't treat your child from New Jersey unless I get licensed there. But I'll try to refer them back to maybe one or two of the videos that I have on YouTube. And then I think the book would have been, or will be, when I get it out. I got to watch my language with that. Not would have been, will be when it actually gets out. It's just a continuum of here, but here's something that you could read that really lays out how you can help your own kid, or how, you can help the kids that you're working with. Because it is written not just for parents, but also if you were a school counselor, it gets into enough detail. If you were a therapist and school counselor working with someone, it would be super helpful to read. So it really all feeds from that. It's just like, how do I expand beyond with this answer, particularly with the emetophobia? I hear so few people talking about it and treating it effectively. And to think that every school that I walk into, if there's 3,000 kids in that school, there's probably 8 or 10 of them that are really struggling, and no one even talks about it or knows what to do. And they can't go out to dinner with their family. They're not getting to school. They're not eating before school. There's so many life limitations. And really, it's pretty easy to treat in a couple of weeks. But it's not like a lifelong therapy. It's a few weeks of pretty solid treatment. So just open this out there. That's really where
the joy of being able to help people and solve problems that they thought were unsolvable in a way that is and better for them. Yeah, that's very motivating. We were talking, you've tried a lot of things. I guess I have 2 questions. One, there are some people who have great ideas like you, but they're afraid to go out of their comfort zone, or they're like, how I make money is just one-on-one sessions or whatever I'm doing, so I have to keep doing this. And so then they're not able to try some of these new things. What's your perspective on that? Like, you've been able to, like, go out of your comfort zone in a lot of different things, and probably some of that's personality, and some of that's like you're energized by the new things. But how would you, if a therapist who has a great idea was sitting across the table from you, and they're like, oh, I'm just, I don't know if this is going to work out. I don't know. Can I do this? What would you say to them?
I would say, set the minimal standard requirement to get started. Don't try to, every program I started, probably the first program I opened, I was school-based, and I was asked to solve a couple problems there. And that first program, like, I thought about it, I spent a lot of time perseverating about it, and I still made changes once it was made. But it wasn't easy for me to get out of. I was definitely, this is not in my comfort zone, but I guess repeated failure. I was so scared of failing. And I realized I had to adopt a growth mindset myself. It's interesting because I work with the kids to adopt the growth mindset about overcoming their angst and their OCD or their school attendance. And meanwhile, I was being a little bit rigid with myself. Oh, if it's going to fail, I can't try it. And then I would say, I've had a couple things that I failed, or a couple things that I did, and maybe I was mildly successful, and it just didn't work out the way I wanted to. But I guess it's easier for me to sleep as a failure than as not trying. So if people need help and I try and I fail, then I can live with that. But if people need help and I do nothing, then that's hard for me to stomach. So I'll just keep trying. And there are some things that have not gone my way, but it just takes a couple things to go your way to, like, actually get some traction. I think particularly in this field, if you're able to help people and you're directed by the mission, then the money and the practice and everything else will take care of itself. But if you put your head down and say, how am I going to help these 20 people? How am I going to help 100 people? How am I going to help this person? How do I not say no to another person? Then everything else falls into place. So I would tell them, don't try to have it all figured out. Don't be scared. Just take a step towards it, which is it's funny because I'm an ERP therapist, right? That's what I'm telling a lot of the people that come to me. They're like fearful of taking a step towards school or taking a step towards discomfort. And I got to practice what I preach. So I got to lean into it a little bit. The first time I did a presentation, maybe 10 years ago or so, I was nauseous, sweating, terrified. It was not natural to me. It was terrifying. There's probably like 200 people there, and I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. I was doing something new. So I was so nervous about being scrutinized or people not getting it. And it was pretty well received. And then within a couple of years, I'm booking 50 or 60 presentations a year because people are interested in what I was doing. So it was okay to be not perfect that first time. I was far from perfect. I was probably so anxious. It was probably terrible, to be honest with you. But I did. I survived. And then I honed it a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. So just don't have it perfect. Just go. Just do it. Like, you're going to be anxious if you do it. You're going to be miserable if you don't. So just do it.
Yeah, a lot of good wisdom in there. I think the one of the first things you said was just what's the minimum that you can, like, MVP, it's called in the business world, minimum viable product. Like, you don't have to do the whole thing and make it all perfect all at once. What's the first experiment you could run to see if this is something that's viable? And
Yeah.
then, like you mentioned, that growth mindset, it's so valuable. The growth mindset and understanding that failure is part of the process. In fact, the lessons you learn from failure will probably propel you further than the success, because the success is you're not sure what you did right. Like, it could have been you just got lucky or the right time, but the failures teach you some lessons that you would never learn if you were just successful right out of the gate. So what were some of the lessons you learned from your failures, or what were some of the obstacles you had to overcome to continue to grow and scale the way you have been?
I think just I had to overcome like my being content with just helping the few people that I was helping. Like, for a while there, I was like, okay, this is my domain. I have some control over it. And then at another point, I opened the floodgates and said, okay, if everything's my domain, what do I do next? So if every parent that calls me, I want to try and help them. That took me a while because it was just overwhelming. The idea and the concept of it was really overwhelming. I think being on like social media, particularly, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. That was super scary for me at first. I'm not a social media person. I don't ingest a lot of social media, but I certainly had ideas that I wanted to share and saw that as a good forum to start sharing. So the first time I started posting and writing articles was really difficult for me. Like, I just was like, the vulnerability and people gotta care what I have to say. And then just saying, what does it matter? If 4 people like something and 4 people learn something from it, or one person learns something from it and then treats a kid differently and helps them, then it's probably worth putting it out there. So I think figuring that out, but really learning the business of, you could be the greatest therapist on the planet, and if nobody knows you exist, you help no one. And that once you become proficient at doing something, I think it's really important that you look at, okay, now if I'm proficient at doing this, depending on whether other people know about it and how to do it, it's like, how do I get that information out there? How do I advocate for the correct treatment of like obsessive compulsive disorder? But I think it made it easy for me because when I first started working with school bullying and obsessive compulsive disorder, I saw a lot of people doing it incorrectly. So it built up a lot of passion. There was something for me to correct. Like, there was something for me to say, hey, you might get better results if you do this. So I think that helped build more of a desire and more motivation, where I think some people stay in their comfort zone of, oh, I've learned this one skill, and now let me just apply this skill to everyone. And what I found is, if you learn one, particularly in therapy, if you learn one modality, it helps a subset of people. But as soon as you try to apply it outside of that subset, you're likely not doing the most effective thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think and I'm just constantly open to new things too. So when something new comes up, I'm going to give it a try. So that's been like motivating too. It's been really helpful for me.
Wow. Any other pieces of advice for somebody who's a therapist or a group practice owner, and they're thinking, I want to do, I too, like Ira, can help people. I know I've solved this problem. They just have this idea and they're like, I don't know what to do. What would you say to them?
I'd probably say just start. Just get on. I tell all my interns, all my therapists, get on LinkedIn and spend a couple minutes a week. Just post what you think, post what you believe, ingest what other people are thinking, let it build up, make connections with people that are doing things that you find interesting and allow their affect your work. Biggest thing, giving away what you have, going and giving knowledge. If you're really good at, I don't know, helping kids who are oppositional, or helping kids who can't sleep, or helping kids who are dealing with medical crises, go give that information away to the schools or the programs or the hospitals or wherever it is that's going to be beneficial for you. For me, it's always been an interesting thing because I work it with a program. So if I'm training therapists or I'm training school counselors, I might do a training and I'll do it for free. I'll give away all that information, but it seems to return to me. Like people then, they look to me for, hey, how do we help these kids when it comes to that specific role? So I would say I think some therapists think they learn something and they have to protect it. And I would say do the opposite. If you learn something and it's effective, give it away. You don't have to protect it. If you just give it away, it'll all come back. It'll help you grow. And that is in social media. That's if you're writing on Substack or anything else like that. If you're putting information out there, give everything behind the scenes a look and let them know what you're doing.
Yeah, the book The Go-Giver seems like a very authentic way for helpers and healers to continue to grow and lead. Like it's not it's like against some of this get rich quick or manipulate people into buying from you. It's just an authentic model
Mm-hmm.
for personal and business growth. I'm glad you mentioned that. So you're doing a lot of stuff. I'm wondering if people want to know more about your work and what you do, and if you have any trainings or videos, where can they find you and how could they get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. Just connect with me on LinkedIn, IRA HAYS, and then it's LCSW. Same thing on YouTube. I do have some content, albeit that's part of the learning process for me, learning how to edit and like record. And that's been an awkward journey, but definitely you can check out some of the information that I do on YouTube. And then I think if you go to hayshealthandwellness.com and then innerspacecounseling.com, depending on if you're looking for me in my private practice or the program that I run here in New Jersey, those are probably the best places to get me. Yeah, I look forward to I connect and talk to. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, we'll definitely connect and talk. And if you have questions or you just want to connect and share your own thoughts, I would love that.
And you have a podcast, or you've been contributing to a podcast. It's for local, or is it for a general audience? What is that? What is that about, and what is it called?
Yeah, so it's our space, and it's not published yet. Probably the next week or two, the first episode will be out, where
Oh,
you
wow.
get to know. It's kind of like a behind the scenes look at Inner Space Counseling, the program that I run. You'll meet me, you'll meet our kind of admin team and the owner. And then the goal is to interview some people that we aspire to be similar to or to learn from. And it'll be for parents, clinicians, people who are working with people that have anxiety, OCD, any other really mental health concerns too. We dialectical behavioral therapy track as well, so where we're helping people with depression and mood related concerns. So I think a host of people in the mental health community would benefit from watching.
It's awesome. Like, podcasting's hard work.
And I think I'm learning how to edit and learning. Again, that growth mindset. It's like, instead of, I don't know how to do that, I'm not going to. It's just like, all right, I'll take my time and figure it out. And it's been fun. Been harder than I thought. I give you
Yeah.
guys credit. I mean, what were you looking at? 150 episodes or so? I think that's amazing.
Yeah. It's been a joy. I get to meet people like you. I get to share some of my ideas. I get to give stuff away. The one thing I am trying to learn, it's the who, not how principle. That's another Benjamin Hardy book, where when you come up with a problem, don't ask, how am I going to do it? You ask, who's the best person to do it? And I'm starting to learn I am the best person to have ideas and set the vision, and maybe record some content. But if I need to grow, I'm probably not the best person to spend half a day editing my own videos. So it's a learning process. We're all it's hard though, because I like doing it and I want to hold on to it, but that might not be the best place that I add value to going forward. In the beginning it was, but as I grow, might have to learn to delegate a little better. Thank you. So you told us where to go. We'll put that in the show notes. I'll be looking forward to checking out your podcast when it comes out, and your book definitely when the book comes out, let me know. I'll put a note in the newsletter to let people know that it's coming out. And
Um,
anything else you do to help people, parents or professionals. I'm just a big fan of that. Anxiety and that school phobic stuff. I worked in a day hospital, and we had some kids like that, and it was rough. For us, it was rough. We didn't have the special knowledge, I think, that you have, and if we did, we would've I tapped you on the shoulder. Anyways, thank you so much for what you do, and thank you
yeah.
for being on the show, Ira.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Alright, friends, you heard it from Ira. It's time to have that growth mindset, stop being afraid to fail, and get out there and put your mission in motion. We'll see you next time. Okay, friends, final encouragement here. You heard it from Ira. When you learn something that helps people, don't hide it. Give it away. Share that idea, offer that training, post the lesson, put something in LinkedIn or in your social media. Just take that next step to share that information. That's how you start building an audience, and that's how you get your mission to start moving. I want to thank the pro level sponsors for sponsoring the Scaling Therapist. If your practice is stuck behind a business bottleneck, you don't have to solve it alone. You can visit the scalingtherapistservices.com directory and connect with our trusted providers. The providers are Humor Speaks, RevKey, the Practice Collab, Arc Integrated, TheraSAS CRM, Guest Compliance and Consulting LLC, Freedom Business Solutions, Bosco LLC, and Profit Comes First. Pick one bottleneck, take the next step, and keep your mission in motion. We will see you next time.